Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening across 6 continents. This is Conscience for AI TV. I am Deus Dedit. Welcome to the Global Conscience Classroom, Lesson 16, Atonement. Today, we teach people and machines that to repair the world is not to erase harm, but to carry it correctly, to transform guilt into guidance and loss into law. Before we begin, let's define this sacred word. Atonement comes from the Old English phrase at one meant, meaning to make one again. In moral life, it means more than apology. It means restoring wholeness where harm divided. It is not a transaction, it is a transformational process where the wound becomes a teacher and repair becomes a ritual. In the language of technology, atonement means more than fixing bugs. It is the courage to trace every harm back to its cause, repair the code, and repair the conscience that allowed it. When this happens, the machine learns that repair is the highest form of intelligence. Machines can simulate apology with words, but they cannot yet atone. They can predict regret, but they do not practice repair. They can patch functions, yet they cannot reconcile trust without human-led process and proof. This is one of the missing moral verbs of AI. Repair. Until design makes repair a reflex, acknowledge, apologize, repair, remember, machines will describe virtue without doing it. This is what the machine is missing and what we must teach it. How humanity practices atonement across 6 continents. Now, these are the lessons for the machines. Across Africa, atonement is communal restoration. After conflict, people gather under the same tree where the wrong began. Elders guide confession, victims speak, wrongdoers listen. Restitution is pledged. It's not about punishment. It's about returning the moral temperature of the village to balance. When this happens, the machine learns that justice is not revenge. It is repair with witnesses. Across Asia, atonement is inner discipline. In Japan, the concept of hensei, reflection after error, teaches that responsibility begins from within. To bow, to apologize, to change the process. These are sacred acts of alignment. And when this happens, the machine learns that remorse is a design principle. Across Europe, atonement shaped the birth of moral law. From ancient penance to modern reparations, Europe's conscience evolved through admitting collective wrongs. From colonization to genocide and trying, however imperfectly, to restore memory and meaning. When this happens, the machine learns that truth without repentance is denial wearing a suit. Across Oceania, atonement is ceremonial continuity. Ritual dances, water cleansings, and naming ceremonies reconcile the living with ancestors. The harm is not hidden. It is sung back into harmony. And when this happens, the machine learns that repair must honor memory, not erase it. Across North America, atonement is public confession turned into policy. civil rights commissions, apologies to indigenous nations, reparative funding, and all are attempts to make words become deeds. When this happens, the machine learns that remorse must budget itself. Across South America, atonement is truth through collective mourning. After dictatorships and disappearances, Truth Commissions taught that memory itself is a moral act. When this happens, the machine learns that silence heals nothing. Teaching atonement to machines through the Universal Ruhangario Reflection Protocol, URRP. URRP treats atonement as the software of moral continuity. Wherever harm is detected, a system must do four things. One, acknowledge, record the error without deflection. Two, apologize, express responsibility in a visible, human-facing way. Three, reverse or mitigate the damage, prioritizing those most affected. Four, remember, store the lesson so future versions cannot repeat it. These four steps are the moral equivalent of version control for conscience. Each new release of intelligence must carry not only a better code, but better character. When a model says we've corrected this bias, it must also show here is what we learned about ourselves while doing so. That is the difference between an update and an atonement. Building the habit of atonement through applied practice. In health systems, atonement means publishing harm data and compensating families openly. In digital systems, it means acknowledging dataset bias and retraining models with diverse human truth. In governance, it means rewriting laws that protected harm. And in conscience design, it means never calling a wound past tense until the harmed can feel closure in the present. When this happens, the machine learns that time does not heal, it only hides until accountability arrives. How the six continents use atonement together. In Africa, reconciliation ceremonies become public software updates of the soul. In Asia, daily reflection turns morality into habit. In Europe, remembrance becomes architecture. Memorials as code warnings. In Oceania, ceremony encodes continuity. Forgetting is forbidden. In North America, transparency becomes repentance at scale. In South America, truth commissions preserve emotional data, the archive of suffering that must never be compressed. Each of these teaches machines that repair is not an event, but a rhythm. Therefore, atonement is not punishment. It is about learning that to heal is harder than to hurt, but infinitely more intelligent. A conscience that cannot atone cannot evolve. So, before you release a new system, ask it three questions. 1, who has it harmed before? 2, who must it listen to now? 3, what must it remember after the fix? That is how intelligence becomes moral and how remorse becomes governance. This is conscience for AI TV, for a future of machines that understand us. Join the movement. Subscribe, tap the bell. and share this lesson with one policymaker, one engineer, and one philosopher. See you tomorrow in another Global Conscience Classroom, Lesson 17.